Hey guys, welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan, the Alliance for Actions podcast. This is where you can hear directly from the decision makers building a better future in New Jersey. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred platform so you never miss an episode. Now, here's Under Construction with Jerry Keenan.
And hello, everybody. I'm Jerry Keenan, and this is Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. This is a great podcast. We speak with today's leaders of the construction industry. We learn what they're about, what they're doing, but we also get a chance to learn a little bit about them as a person and their personality. So with that being said, I'm so happy to welcome my friend Cyndie Williams. Cyndie is the executive director of the Carpenter Contractor Trust. How are you, Cyndie? Good to see you.
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Jerry. As I had mentioned before, we've known each other for a long time, but we've never had the opportunity to just sit and chat as colleagues, and I'm happy to be here today.
Well, now we're going to do that, and we're going to learn everything there is to know about Cyndie Williams. I hope you're ready.
Excellent. Bring it on.
But I mentioned you're the executive director of the Carpenter Contractor Trust. That is a very, very interesting organization, but I'm not sure if everyone here knows exactly what it is. Can you tell us about it, please?
Sure. So back in the early 2000s, they decided they wanted to establish a labor management trust for the Carpenters Union so that they can have the umbrella of industry partnerships be recognized, our contractor base in connection with our membership, in connection to union leadership, to be able to have an umbrella to be able to connect to people outside of our organization, to know the good work that the Carpenters Union is doing in communities. So the trust was established. It was established here in New Jersey, in these Edison offices. Actually, our offices were here, right where you are now.
Yes.
So that was a little bit before my time, but nonetheless, it was really a brainchild of this area here in the state of New Jersey. When I came aboard in 2021, we've expanded the CCT to be in the entire footprint of the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, which is a 6-state region.
Oh my gosh.
I now cover, a large span of work in under 43,000 carpenters for our region and thousands of contractors. So, our umbrella has expanded, but certainly I'm a New Jersey resident, so New Jersey is always my passion, and I have an office upstairs where I land.
So 40,000 carpenters and 1,000 contractors across 6 states. Are you on the road? Do you go and visit these states? Are you on the road all the time?
So
it's a lot of frequent flyer miles.
I have a home base as an office in Philadelphia, where our regional council's leadership is, and I also have staff that work for me in different areas and pockets of the CCT footprint. So we have an employee down in DC, we have an employee in Greater PA in Pittsburgh area. My few folks in team is in Philadelphia, and I have an office here covering New Jersey as well as Philadelphia. But I get around. I have a great staff that's mobile, and we try to cover the footprint as much as possible.
So at the end of the day, Cyndie, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do as the leader of the CCT?
So as the leader of the CCT, there's so many hats that I wear. I think I have the direct ability to connect with industry, to connect with our community under Workforce Umbrella, workforce development. We try to get out there. My team will get out there and go to conferences to be able to show the good work that our carpenters and our signatory contractors are up to that benefit not only safe working environments, but also community benefits like career opportunities for people that are living in a certain community. Like, I'll give you an example. In January of this year, we had the opportunity to go to the PA Farm Show. And you think of a farm show, you think of horses and cows, but in rural Pennsylvania, it's it's working hands, it's farmers, it's all of the rural things that Pennsylvania has to offer. So we get there and we recruit some of these
Wait, you're
folks
telling
that
me
are
there's
working
something outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes. We connect where they are, right? So
Yes.
you think about it, a farmer or somebody that's working in that community in rural Pennsylvania, where we still have hospitals, schools, bridges, roads that we need to build.
Yeah.
We need the workforce. And who better than a farmer that's, getting up at sunrise and going to work every day and, just trying to tell them that there's opportunities that are out there for them other than maybe what they've known or grown up to
Yes.
do. So a lot of our, we'll meet them where they are, I guess is the point. And so in January, we went to the PA Farm Show where there were thousands of farmers, and we set up scaffolding, and we, had a recruitment effort, and we got there, and it was one of the most successful events that we've had. But again, it's an interesting thing to think. What are the carpenters doing at a farm show in Pennsylvania?
Sure. Yeah.
But that's just one example of many.
That's a good question.
But we go to school counselors events. We talk, we connect to schools, talking about the opportunities that are out there in skilled trades and specific to the Carpenters Union. So, outside of that, we just do many things, but that's just an example. But we market on behalf of the masses, right?
Yes.
So we have thousands of signatories under our umbrella. And we try to make sure that our messaging gets out there on behalf of them, on behalf of our membership.
Now, you're covering 6 different states. Which states are you covering?
So we have New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, and D.C. proper.
So those states, and like you said, in Pennsylvania, if you're in the Philadelphia area, is much different if you're in the central Pennsylvania area. It's much, much different. How do you reach out and how do you connect with these people who are coming from such varying backgrounds?
Sure. That's a great question. So if I could step back a little bit, I'll just talk about my history with the Carpenters Union, because
Okay.
I think that really helps align to the position that I hold today. I came through as a carpenter. I went on to teach pre-apprenticeship rather, through a program called Job Corps. So I got a little bit of the training side of things. I was then asked to come aboard to be a council representative for the carpenters. So that is essentially a business agent, how you think of it. Union leadership that helps guide job sites to make sure that they're working closely alongside of the collective bargaining agreement that is operating on union job sites. A little bit in the weeds as far as technical stuff, but essentially a business agent helps to make sure the jobs are run smooth. I did that for a time.
You were a business agent?
I was a business agent,
Okay.
yes, before taking this role on. All of those pieces came together to allow me to operate in the way that I operate now, with industry partnership, some of our contractor base, understanding the nuances of what a contractor needs. All of those things in my career have kind of gotten me to that place. What I do in any given area is I know all of these players on the union leadership side and get to know the contractor base as I go, because it's a lot of players in the game. Mm-hmm. I'm able to connect to the association. So the association here in New Jersey is the Associated Construction Contractors of New Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
ACCNJ.
Right down the hall from
Right down the hall.
Yeah.
And so Jack Kosis is my chairman, and so for CCT. So under the umbrella of CCT, we have all these associations that are part of our trustee board. So I can rely on them. I can rely on union leadership to know what are the pain points of each and every area.
Sure.
So I can speak on behalf of everyone because I'm able to be in touch with union leadership, the associations, and speak on their behalf as I'm trying to connect to community.
One of the big things going on now because of AI and cloud computing and all the other technologies is the development of data centers, and we have a lot of them going up in New Jersey, and hopefully we'll have a lot more. But data centers, that's got to be a huge issue for the carpenters.
Yes. So definitely there's so much demand through the use of technology, phones, et cetera, for data storage, and data centers are a billion-dollar industry. That's up and coming in construction, and we're always on talks and conversation about helping this industry to thrive. So with the carpenters, my co-chairman Bill Sproul has led us down the road of trying to figure out ways that we can bolster, get the word out there. All of our contractors are out there building these data centers, and will continue to do so. And so the CCT created a microsite and a website that's specific to not only education, because our average person in a community doesn't understand the need for these data centers. And sometimes it's not a popular thought or idea in a community, right? This giant warehouse, if you will. But it's necessary. It's necessary for all of us to function with the technology that we have today. So, we promote it. We promote the opportunity. We connect to the community and give them an education on why this is necessary. And not to mention that our contractors are building these data centers as well. But those folks that are working on those job sites are also community involved. So we try to create that layout on this website. But we talk about the different crafts that the carpenters offer right on this website, because people think carpenters are hammer and nails, right?
Yes.
You get that all the time. Or even carpet laying. People just think we're carpet layers, right? Sure. So there's so many different trades that are under the umbrella. So we have general carpenters, folks that do interior systems, mill cabinet work, millwright, which is kind of, people don't even know what a millwright is, but essentially, like, the easy way to understand that is the beltway for your luggage at the airport. They fix these machinery. It's balancing of machines. They're working in power plants. So I had mentioned floor layers, general carpenters. The umbrella is wide of craft that we cover. And so many different disciplines. We have the opportunity to talk about it with the data center website of the different crafts and representation when a data center is being built out.
So what will we see on your data center website? So
it's really just an explanation of why data centers are important, but also why it's important to hire skilled trades in these spaces. There's also a page that calls to action. There may be, like I said, in certain areas where the NIMBYs, the not in my backyard folks, don't want to see a data center built, don't we? Right? We love them, and I get it. I live there too, right?
Yes.
But the reality is, they need to be built, and they should be built responsibly, right? So on the website, there's calls to action where we can connect to community and have people be in support of. Elected officials can come on board and say, hey, let's start a campaign that educates the community on why this matters and why building responsibly matters. So
you mentioned the training. Are you involved, the CCT involved with any of the training? The reason why I bring it up is
for across the way.
Yeah, like we're looking over out the window here, and the Apprentice Training Center is right across the parking lot. It is a fabulous center. I don't know if any other trades have something like that. You can tell me, but are you involved with that?
Thank you for bringing that up, because that is definitely something that the CCT does to help connect. And yesterday was a fine example of that. We had our open house yesterday for the Carpenters open house for the Apprenticeship Training Center. So what we did, and CCT is a host of that, where we'll bring in the community. We'll bring in high school students, and they'll float through for the entire day. Elected officials, community partners, they're all coming in. We'll have vendor tables inside, and the apprentices are there competition style working on projects. So they're showing the community what kind of skill that they've gained over that 4-year term of them being inside those halls. And everybody's in there. It's a buzz. They're impressed. There's sawdust. There's loud noises, but there's hundreds of people that walk through those floors. And we were able to work that out with the leadership over there at the training center to be able to establish this open house and open it up to the community to come through, because I think seeing is believing, and oftentimes bringing them through the doors, taking them for tours is a great opportunity. But having a day where you dedicate it to it, it's great for them to connect to others, to network, and to see our talented carpenters at work.
Well, I can tell you, we do, the Alliance for Action, we do a number of public events throughout the year. And a few times each year, we're at the Carpenters Apprentice Training Center, including last Friday. Well, I don't know when this is playing, but a recent Friday. And we had about 300 people there. And everyone was looking through the window to see what's going on with the apprentice the trainees.
Yes.
And it's a real eye catcher. It's a very people are interested, and it's a lot of fun to see people who are starting the beginnings of their career.
Sure.
And so I want to talk about that.
Sure, but I'll say that was by design, right?
I'm sure.
You know, it's so nice to be able to bring industry in that may not have anything to do with construction even, right? So, and sometimes that is the case, but they become interested because they can see through the windows and see progress and you know, state of the art across the way. And so we're happy to bring people in. It starts a conversation. So you know, I'm glad you're taking advantage and bringing folks that may not know about us into the doors.
For sure. So you're running the Carpenter Contractor Trust. Before that, you were a business agent and a council representative. Were you ever out in the field with the tools?
Yes, I was. So 26 plus years ago, I was not your typical mold of somebody who wanted the trades as an option for career, and I just took an interest in carpentry over a summer, trying to help fix my parents' home up for raising 5 kids, along with my sister. We were wallpapering, painting, trying to do small fixes, and I had no idea what I was doing. So that's kind of how it started. I called the vocational school, and they said, go into the union, they'll put you through school for free. Yeah. And I didn't even know what a union was. So thank goodness for a blind tip. And
were you born in Jersey?
Many years later. Yes, out of the Red Bank Local, 2250, many years ago.
And Cyndie was one of our winners a few years ago of our Women in Construction honor, and we were really glad to do that. And you had a bunch of interesting stories, but I'm sure people say this to you all the time, but there's not a lot of women in the trades.
Correct.
And so I'm guessing that when you showed up for a job, someone would say, what the heck is she doing here? I need a carpenter. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, it's a reality that I faced, especially when I came in many years ago. And really, I would always say that the way I was treated on the day one of the job, as opposed to how I was treated on the last day, were always very different.
Got to prove yourself.
Got to prove yourself. You know, head down, work hard. I think that's really always been my recipe, is if somebody has a thought or opinion about what I'm going to bring to the table, just let me show them otherwise. And so I would get in less conflict just doing my job and earning my spot next to someone who was my partner or somebody who was on the job site with me. And honestly, that's been my recipe throughout my career and the ladders that I've been able to climb. But I'll also just say that anytime I've ever gone anywhere, it's because somebody has been a mentor and brought me along the way and said, hey, you know, let's come on over here. And, you know, my organization with the Carpenters has done just that over the 26 years.
Who were your mentors or are your mentors?
Oh, man. Anything from the shop steward giving me my first piece of advice on my day one of my job, which was my very first piece of advice was my shop steward. He greeted me on the job day one on a concrete high rise and said, the day that I stop learning is the day that I need to retire. And you need to remember that. And it was like, hey, kid, come on, I got you kind of thing. But that, I'll never forget that. And then from then on, it's been a series of connections with people ever since, of people just trying to help. And so that's what an organization that depends on its people and values its membership does. And so for me, that's been my story. You know, being a woman in construction, as you mentioned, is fewer and farther between, but we've come so far in the 26 years that I've been around that enough people have had voice to say this is a career opportunity for everyone, that now doorways are open and you see so much more faces and names of people that are a more diverse workforce, right? Because that's what our communities are. Our communities are diverse, and getting the word out there is important, so that they can see, hey, this is a potential opportunity for me.
Well, it's terrific, because I can tell you that when you're not in the room with me and I'm speaking with people, you garner tremendous respect across the industry. I can go through several names that say, oh my gosh, Cyndie, not only is she a terrific person, but she does a terrific job. And I can tell you a few people that have said that.
Thank you so much.
I'm
super passionate about it. Like I really, I love this industry. I love everything that the union values provide, career opportunities, dignity in retirement, healthcare benefits, all of those things that it's easy for me to talk about it. And even just yesterday, at the open house, I stopped somebody on the sidewalk and said, "Hey, how are you? Do you have everything you need?"
Yes.
And he was one of the new floor layers that were coming in to do a signing day.
Oh.
And I had no idea. I just happened to catch him, and he said, I was in a dead-end job. I found this as an opportunity. I can't wait to start my career over. He was 43 years old. And not that
Wow.
that's, so
him.
common for us, but, that's the thing, is that you can have a career shift. You can think, differently
Yes.
if something's not fitting for you. And the fact that, he stepped into that at 43, and he was so passionate, and I couldn't wait to hear how he's doing,
Now,
with his
you talk
career.
about your passion, and I know you're passionate because I've seen you sometimes out at 10 o'clock at night at these events that we do. And then I've seen you at 8 o'clock in the morning at these events that we do.
Sure.
And I know I run into this sometimes, but what about those days where you say, oh my gosh, I can't do it today. I'm exhausted. There's some of those days we just want to call and say, start without me, I'll be there later. But
Right.
how do you drive through it? How do you push through?
Honestly, I couldn't be more grateful for the spot that I have, because I'm in a position where I know, working in the field, that it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be a carpenter. It takes a lot to be a tradesperson. They work so hard, and earn every bit of that dollar that they command.
Yes.
Right. I know that what I'm doing now is helping that member to create opportunities for their careers, for their futures, that there's nothing that I could do that would make me feel more proud than to get up every day, even if it's a late night connecting, and then an early morning the next morning.
Yes.
I really enjoy what I do, but I also enjoy the colleagues that I come across, and I'm just in a sweet spot in my career where I'm connected to people that care. I'm connected to people that want to drive our industry forward, and allow the space for opportunity to come.
Growing up, I remember a couple of times in school, someone who graduated school or whatever was older and came back to visit a class. And I remember particularly one specific teacher saying, it makes me feel so good to see that I had this boy or girl as a second grader or a fourth grader, and they come back all these years later and they're really making it happen. You must have, you impact lives. You change lives. That's an awesome feeling. Tell us, when did you realize that you were doing this for people?
Well, I think honestly, I've had a lot of tough jobs along the way, and I think we all have, right? And we get to this point in our career where we realize somebody calls and says, "Hey, can you be my mentor?"
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
Oh wow!
Me? Who
I'm
are you
now.
talking to?
I turn around and I look, and I'll never forget. I was on a job site, and I was barely reading a tape measure properly, and I was standing next to a mentor who happened to become the next business agent, and I didn't know it. He didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
And he's a business agent, for those of you who don't know, is somebody who helps a member find their work and helps them stay working. Anyway, he became the business agent, and he looked at me and said, "Hey kid, you're going to be a leader one day." And it was juxtaposed to me barely knowing how to read a tape measure. And for whatever reason, at that moment, I said, he's got something or see something in me that I want to emulate.
Yes.
And so many, many years later, many job positions later, many connections to people later, we've been able to kind of be in this position now where we're helping others. And so you just try to live that model and try to make it a little bit better each day. And so the trust allows me to do that, and allows me to be innovative, creative. We do all the marketing on behalf of everyone at the trust. And, it really sells itself when you believe in the product, and the product is good, sustainable employment for the 43,000 members that are around. And it's building middle-class communities, and, it's all the things that I believe in anyway.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want to talk about that as well.
Sure.
You're doing such a great job helping people find careers, but it's not just the career for this person or that person. What that person is doing in their career is creating better lives for other people. You talk about schools and building new schools, and so that is an awesome responsibility that the Carpenters organization has as well. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah. So the community relies on our skilled carpenters to build their hospitals, their schools, their pharmaceutical. There's a dedication to safety and training that we are second to none. And you can go out and do your research, but really when push comes to shove, it's skilled trades. And I'll say all of my brothers and sisters in skilled trades, you know,
Sure.
all of the umbrellas from pipe fitters to electricians to laborers, you know, they are running programs that are efficiently tackling this industry, right? For large scale projects, you know.
Yes.
You know, we're happy to do so. But I had mentioned that it's building the middle class. You know, today's society, unfortunately, I've had, you know, the firsthand view of, you know, the ways that construction, the world in general, is sort of the race to the bottom, and let's get cheap labor.
Yeah.
Let's make this, you know, sweatpant for, you know, for pennies on the dollar, and someone behind the scenes is making it and probably being taken advantage of.
Yes.
So the idea that our globalization has gotten us this mindset of cheaper, faster, let's go, it's hit the construction industry. But we need to make sure that we're selling the full package, which is community partners, people that can spend on Main Street in their own towns, all of those things that are making a difference in the middle class to keep America going. That folks need these types of jobs where they have the ability to pay for their facilities in their town.
Yes.
You know, the tax benefits that the town receives when they're taking care of their community.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all an ecosystem, right? And so the middle class in our economy matters.
Yeah.
And so we are the middle class in that way. And so I'm happy to talk about the benefits of hiring someone that can live to be able to pay for the things in their community and keep Main Street going, if you will.
Great stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Cyndie After Hours. I know you're a member of the Brookdale Community College Board of Directors.
Sure.
How did you get involved with that? I mean, you're working these, like we said, you're out at 10 o'clock, you're back in the office or doing something at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
How do you find time to be involved with the Brookdale College Board of Directors and there are probably other things?
Sure. So interestingly enough, Brookdale had its graduation yesterday.
Okay.
And you know what's cool about that is, I was a grad of Brookdale, and
Okay.
I was going there, sort of fumbling on my career as I'm a carpenter. You know, went on to do some things where I transferred and got a bachelor's at Rutgers in labor studies.
Yeah.
But my foundation was Brookdale, and the fact that I'm a tradesperson who has the ability to be a trustee now is incredible. And we, you know, I sat there with the cap and down yesterday, handing out, you know, diplomas, and it's the
You
best.
handed out the diplomas?
Yes,
Oh, that's
you know,
great.
between myself and some of the other trustees, just it's such a blessing to be able to have and give back in that way now. But what an honor, you know! I graduated there, and now I get to just help the college grow in ways that that they see my input as valuable, you know. And as a tradesperson, I'm so appreciative of that they're forward thinking enough to know that community colleges and workforce development, you know, matter. So happy to do it. I find the time because I'm passionate about it, but it really speaks volumes about how the trades should be involved in college, in college settings. I didn't even get into that across the way, how we're connected to bachelor's degrees, associate's degrees.
You're bringing up some very, very interesting points. When I think about, you know, carpenters, I think they go to high school, they graduate, and then they go to the apprentice training center and become carpenters, and that's it for their education. But that's not the case.
Correct. Correct. So there's a few different tracks, and I'll speak to most of them. But we have a curriculum that's in vocational schools and high schools called Career Connections, where a student in high school or vocational school can earn up to 16 college credits, and that will bring them into apprenticeship. And when they become apprentices or not, they actually have those credit opportunities, which is great.
So they can get their associate's degree or their bachelor's degree?
Correct. Or you know, even if they don't become a carpenter, I think that's an opportunity for pickup for AP classes, but learning through the trades. But then when they get there, we have an agreement with Thomas Edison University for an associate's degree, but also now Rutgers University. Rutgers. Rutgers is where I went.
Okay.
It's Rowan University.
Oh, Rowan, that's where I went. Let's hear Rowan University.
Rowan.
Dr. Ali Hushmand on our board of directors, the president there.
Yes.
Behind the camera here, Elena Lawton is also a graduate of Rowan. You mentioned Rowan, so I just have to give a plug. But I'm sorry,
major plug for Rowan. They were across the way as one of our vendors at the open house. So, so Rowan's been a great partner, and we just signed an articulation agreement. The technical centers had signed an agreement to allow bachelor's credits to come into play for apprentices. So with a little bit of an extra lift, an apprentice can take classes alongside of their apprenticeship, and at the end they'll have not only their associate's but their bachelor's degree as well by the end of their 4-year training. So that's fantastic. And, for us, it's a huge pickup because it allows us to have a well-educated carpenter and the ability to have them give lift to their own careers, such as, superintendents, some of the business-related opportunities that construction offers with some of the bachelor's degrees through Rowan. So construction management, leadership, superintendents, it just creates a more well-rounded carpenter.
That is terrific. I want to talk a little bit more about that. We don't have a lot of time, but again, I think of traditionally the carpenter or other trades going to high school and going to the apprentice training center. But nowadays, with so much technology, AI and cloud computing and everything, are the students coming out of high school very interested in going to the trades?
So I'll say it's better now than it ever was. I think that society in general, with colleges and what they offer, sometimes a student can come out of college and still struggle to find work.
For
right?
sure.
Whereas we're in the service industry, we have these jobs that are available. They're jobs that pay sometimes $100,000, $150,000 a year without college debt. So it's enticing for a parent to consider that as an option for their young person. And with that, now that we have the college credits tied to it, it helps the parents to really soften the blow. In skilled trades always kind of had that rap that it's a blue collar thing, but it's not. I mean, honestly, we have thousands of people that are waiting to get into this apprenticeship school because it's high pay, it's high demand. You have to be educated, and it's a different look. It's where white collar meets blue collar now, with college educated individuals and working with your hands. I think there's room for both.
I'll never forget the first time I realized. I went to college, and my mom and dad paid for me to go to college, and then I came out and I got to work. The first time I realized that when you go to apprentice training, first of all, it's free. And you're learning a trade, and as you're going through school, you're also getting paid. They're putting you on work. It's a win-win as far as I can tell. Your parents aren't going broke with college costs. You're getting training, and you're getting paid at the same time, and eventually you're going to be getting big bucks.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm an example of that, where a lot of my friends went on to big schools. They were still, kind of working through their college degree, and I had bought my first house already. I was an apprentice, still coming out of my apprenticeship, but had enough money in my pocket to be able to buy my first home. So I went and did the college track later on, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You can spend your whole career being a tradesperson.
Yeah.
I value education, and it just makes me a well-rounded person. And we appreciate the fact that partners like Rowan are there to help us with our apprentices and make it more affordable for them to go to school.
Well, Cyndie, this is really great stuff. Thank you. I am very, very proud to call you a friend. I'm very, very proud that the Alliance for Action is a great partner with the carpenters and all the other trades, and we will continue to do that. And I see all the things that, before I started working here, I had no idea what went into building this building, like why I have a building where I can go to or why I have a road that I can drive to get here. It's really a tremendous thing. But thanks so much for being here today. Cyndie Williams, a tremendous leader for the Carpenter Contractor Trust and for the entire industry. You're really knocking it out of the park, and
Thank you.
And a terrific career. We didn't even get a chance to talk more about your personal life, which I was hoping we could do. We'll do this again sometime.
Yeah.
And I know you have your own podcast, so give us a plug for your podcast.
Sure. So my colleague and I, Anthony Abrantes, who's one of the leaders for the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, is we both started a podcast in January called The Labor Lounge, and the idea behind it is trying to connect to the people that we don't know. And so teaching everyone who will listen about the value and benefits of union construction. We're out there, hitting the streets on the podcast lane, and, it's been so much fun having guests. And
I have to ask you,
really,
who came up with that pose when you're standing there with Anthony? I love it. We have to show that when we play this, but the pose is awesome.
Yeah, we had several awkward moment pictures that came through that photo shoot. But it was a lot of fun, and we're happy to do it.
Well, again, thanks for being here. I'm Jerry Keenan. That's Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. I'm so happy to have here today Cyndie Williams, the Executive Director of the Carpenter Contractor Trust. If you like what you see, give us a share, tag us. Our handles are NJ Alliance for Action, and you can go to alliancefораction.com for more information. If you have pictures that you see at meetings or you see Cyndie at events, take a picture. Always tag us. Tag New Jersey Alliance for Action. We'll make sure to spread the word wherever we can. But once again, thank you so much. Great seeing you, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Under Construction with Jerry Keenan is a production of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. To learn more about membership and events, go to alliancefораction.com. Together, we're building a better future. We'll see you next time.